Yeah, I've done this at a couple of companies now, so I'm not going to name all of them, but at five or six, fairly large companies that all had this challenge, right? The challenge of we make highly technical, very complex products in the B2B space, and because we have highly technical, very, very smart employees, the way we talk about our products is dense. I think someone I worked with called it shipping the roadmap. So you've got your product managers have their roadmap of all the things that they need to build this quarter. And at the end of the quarter, you put a little green check mark by everything that they built, and you put that in marketing. You're like, well, this is what we built and this is what we're selling. So that's how we should talk about it. Wrong. Very, very hard for customers to understand anything if all you're doing is delivering technical documentation and like kind of like slicing and dicing it and pasting it onto your web page, right?
Hmm.
Um, so with teams like that, right, usually someone will approach me and say, can you come and do a workshop with our product marketers? And let's just be really specific that we're not talking about copywriting, we're not talking about positioning, we're talking about messaging, right? And they'll usually give me 5 examples and I'll come and we'll do workshops. And I usually go something like this. I will put up 5 descriptions from competitors' websites of similar products, and I'll ask them to find their own. And nobody ever can because we all talk about our products in the same way, right?
Mm,
Revolutionize your digital journey, optimize, blah, blah, blah.
right.
Um, so that's the eye opener at the beginning of the workshop, right? Like if you think your product is so different and so special, then how come when I put up 3 or 5 ERP products or CRM products or whatever else it is, HR management products, you can't find your own. That means
Right.
something's wrong. So if we
Right.
can agree that something is wrong, then we can break it down. And then there are a couple of things that are really important to teach. I think for our team, the most important thing that we want all marketers to know how to do is write, identify, and fix functional descriptions. So for every product that you put out into the world, it needs to have 3 things, 3 parts of a functional description. What is it? What are people supposed to do with it? And what's the benefit if they believe us and do it our way?
Hmm.
And it is so much harder than it sounds for some of these really complicated SaaS products to just say, like, what is it? It's a mobile app. What do people do with it? They schedule time with Abe to do a podcast. And what's the benefit? The benefit is that Abe and I don't both need EAs to help us find time to do a podcast together.
Hmm.
Great. That's a really easy example. You could see how it gets complicated if, the product's hard to describe.
So this is maybe sound like a strange question, but shouldn't that have already been addressed way at the beginning of way before it got to marketing? Like why do you think that there's an engineer somewhere who's dreaming this product up and says, I'm going to make a this and it's going to do that, and there's a business person saying, here's the business case for this, and this is why our customers will like it. So where do you think the disconnect is between that sort of back of the napkin conversation and the website?
I think it's the differentiation, right? Well, first of all, have you ever seen it work smoothly at any company?
I have not. I have yet to. I'm going to be optimistic. I have yet to.
You have yet to. You have yet to. But I think that people really struggle with the differentiation piece of it. So what is the benefit of doing it our way, right? And the benefit will for a busy marketer or someone who's really trying to rush to market and being given something's dropped in their lap and they have to deliver it out again really quickly, it's really easy to look at the benefits and say things like it's better, it saves time, it's optimized, it's improved without really driving at the business value of it. It's saving what kind of time, how much money, what are you doing different than before? How is it better than, having a human do it, right? And so driving at those benefits can be really difficult. Um, yeah,
So it almost sounds like the process is you keep going to one more layer of, okay, so what?
yep, yep. And you're right. We play the so what game, right? Optimize your workflows. So what? Optimize your workflows so different teams working together on the same project can understand what's going on. So what? Optimize workflows so that different teams working on the same project can save time so that you have 10% fewer bottlenecks. So what? Well, 10% fewer bottlenecks means you're going to market faster, and that time is time that you spend making more money. So your company's making more money. Oh, well, I like that, right?
So how do you know when you're done? How do you know when you've gotten to the answer of
You're never done. You're never done. You get to good enough for whatever your next go-to-market milestone is, right? Your next website launch, your next big event, your next key webinar, right? You get good enough to do that. And then you have to have a mechanism for getting feedback from your customers, from your sales teams, from your executives, from, your colleagues, and you rejigger it for the next one, right? Messaging is not static. It shouldn't be static. And it does need to be, it needs to be adjusted for your audience and for your point in time. But that's what makes it fun.
so when you're in these sessions, are there sort of themes that either weaknesses you see are common, or these could be different or the same things that the marketers themselves you're educating the marketing teams, right? You're not
Yeah,
educating. So
we're
these are already
educating our
people
team.
who
Hmm.
know a bit about what they're not coming in fresh. They're already you're giving a master class to experts basically. The
Yes.
so are there things that either people you notice are consistent weaknesses, and or things that the your students are surprised, like, oh, I never realized that this is something we should be doing, or I didn't realize that this is a framework for thinking about this stuff. um yeah, either of those things.
Yeah. The comment I get the most during these sessions is, I didn't know I was allowed to write so simply.
Hmm.
I thought I had to write like a really complicated, smart tech person, which is absolutely not true. At least it's not true anymore, right? I think companies have really are in the process of indexing more toward really clear writing, lay speak, say it so that any person, with a high school education can understand it. But marketers haven't maybe accepted or internalized that or feel confident that they won't be dinged if they don't use really complicated words and a bunch of technical acronyms or a lot of like inside code words. Like big tech companies have inside code words for their projects, so like I have to squeeze all of them in, right? So that's a comment that I get a lot is, oh, actually, you're really freeing me to just write the way I talk, which I didn't know I was allowed to do. And then I had one gentleman who English was his second language, and he said, I thought it was me, but now I know it's not me. He said, I
That's
just thought my
fantastic.
vocabulary wasn't good enough. And by the way, his vocabulary was fantastic. He just had an accent. He said, I can never understand what people are writing. And I thought it was me because English isn't my first language. But what you're telling me is actually that's a good thing. I can be the gut check for my team. Like, hey, if I don't understand it, I don't think, our smart customers who are not English first language, like native English speakers will understand it. If I don't understand it, I don't think our colleagues in other countries will be able to translate it. If I don't understand it, then I think we're going to have a really hard time selling it using 8 words on a website. So I said, yes, you're absolutely right. Like you should be that gut check for your team of like, have we made it easy enough to understand? Or do we need to rethink it because we've got this really smart person on our team who's like, you're not passing the clear, concise, jargon-free gut check. people ask me a lot of times, like, what's the most important quality to have in your career? And I always start with curiosity, right? I couldn't do my job if I weren't interested in what every single marketing department is doing, where every marketing department thinks they want to improve, be like passing down thoughts from our CMO to the team, sharing thoughts across teams because people are so, they're so focused on their own jobs, they might not be thinking about what, if you're not on the social team, what's social doing? If you're not on the field team, what's field doing? Like, I'm curious about all teams and everything they do. So I think, being able to know just enough to ask a lot of questions is really powerful if your wheelhouse is messaging, right? Tell me about your new product. What is it? What am I supposed to do with it? And what's the benefit to me if I do that, right? Get that functional description. I'm still not understanding like what is it? Like tell me a little more about what is it, right? It's an AI tool. What kind of an AI tool? What is it? What is an AI tool? How is an AI tool different from a chatbot tool? How is an AI tool different? When you say AI tool, is that an LLM model? Like ask the questions and don't feel like you know, don't feel dumb asking the questions. The questions are good questions, right? If you're asking them, very likely that lots of other people are asking them too. And just display that curiosity. People love it when you ask questions about their work. And then sit back and synthesize and say, okay, great. Now that as a newcomer to the topic, I've asked all these questions, how would I explain it to the next person and try to make it easier for them than it was for me? And I could do that all day, every day. I love it.
That's great. I love just two things that you said. I just wanted to highlight is one is people enjoy talking about their work. That I feel like for me at least, when I started on this business, I would always ask the questions I need to do. I had an assignment to do, but I always felt a little bit awkward about it. But I think you're absolutely right. Like there's no need to feel awkward because this is what people love to. This is they're in this stuff all day and they want to share it. And
Mm-hmm.
and I love what you said about making it all that process of distillation that you just went through. You want to make it easier for the next person, which I think is just a great. It's almost like gifting your knowledge forward, and that's what it's all about.
That's the win. That's the win both for the person, like the next person that you're delivering to, but also the first person. Because you asked me earlier what's something that a lot surprised a lot of students. And I said, that they felt like freer to write things more simply. I think the other piece of feedback I get a lot is as I ask them these, dumb questions, they said, "Oh, I thought this was really easy to understand. I am now realizing and having this dialogue with you that it is not easy to understand."
That's great.
And that is great because that prompts them to keep telling me what they're working on. Why are you now realizing that it's harder to understand? Oh, because, I've been in it for 6 months, so I know all the backstory. It's all been shortcutted in my brain. I'm jumping 7 steps ahead of you. I need to back it up. Let me back it up for you and explain to you what I spent the last 6 months working on, right? And then it becomes a dialogue, right? So I think those are two of the key reasons we do the workshops because we do see that a lot, right? People realizing like, okay, this isn't as easy to understand as I thought it would be, and in order to speed that time to understanding, I really need to spend some time boiling it down,
Right, right.
making it simple.
Right.
Work my own role. No idioms, but by making it simple.
Tell me, talk to me about barbecues.
Barbecues. So we have a little cute little phrase we like to use called say it like you're at a barbecue. And so that's, I think people used to say things like, simplify it so that your grandma can understand it. And then people would go one of two ways. They would either be really offended. They're like, well, my grandmother was the first woman who worked at IBM, so she knows everything. Or they'd be like, what's the point? My grandmother has never seen a computer in her life. Why would I ever explain to her what a CRM is? That's just silly. So, okay, so forget, like, leave your grandma alone. Go to a barbecue. You're at a barbecue. you're a marketer for tech companies, or probably a lot of other tech employees at this barbecue. They do kind of what you do for a living, maybe not, maybe, you know, there's a variety of people. But they ask you what you do for a living, and you need to explain it in a way that doesn't sound like you just walked out of a like sprint,
Right.
right? Like, right? That sounds like casual, conversational, easy to understand. And again, the way you do that is just kind of like, I built this thing. Here's what it is. And like, there's like a couple of key benefits of doing it that our customers think are really great. And that's it.
It's yeah, I love that. It's funny. I've started using with my own clients. I've started using. We have a short version helping them with an elevator pitch, but I have a
Hmm.
slightly longer version which I call the barbecue pitch. Exactly for this reason.
Nice. Yeah, you've got them trapped over the barbecue grill, like you're not going anywhere for a few minutes. And yeah, so so we'll shortcut it and say like, could you just like back it up? Could you just barbecue this for me?
I love that.
Right? And it's fun. It's like, okay, got it. Like I'm too deep in the weeds right now. I'm getting a little too wonky. I just need to like take a step back and barbecue it a little bit.
I love that how it's a verb. That's really
Hmm. Hmm. It
very
works on a lot of levels. It's also like let it cool a little longer, right? Like maybe your
oh,
messaging's not ready. Like you gotta like barbecue it just a little more before it's ready to serve anyone. Like, yeah, it works on
that's
multiple levels.
that's great. That's great. So I'd be completely remiss if I did not ask you to talk about your mom.
Oh, my mom, my inspiration. Whenever people ask me how I know how to do the things I do, I say it's because I've been working with her since I was 12. So my mother ran a tutoring center. So for ESL and SAT prep in the Los Angeles area. And so I grew up watching teachers teach English second language learners, how to adopt a new language, how to communicate in a really unfamiliar world, how to navigate taking something as weird as the SATs, and you know, and and just seeing different teaching styles and coaching styles and different types of learners. I never thought that that would directly become something that was useful in my career, but not just in my current role, but over and over again, it's been really useful. Just that like constant learning mindset, that constant teaching and coaching mindset, and really understanding that different people learn in different ways. Um, it has been really interesting. And unfortunately, my mom passed a while ago now, but I think about her a lot, and I think about you know how she always wanted one of her daughters to become a teacher, and none of us did, as kids go, right? But I think it would be really interesting for her to see how like that lifelong teaching has kind of taken a little bit of a different path for me.